Hello, welcome. This is Roland. This will be part 3 in my series on the Beatitudes from the Sermon on the Mount. Beatitudes. And I began reading the Beatitudes from the Caboris manuscript. The Caboris manuscript, which I have in my hands here, is an English translation of an ancient manuscript called Caboris manuscript. And it was written in Aramaic, the language that Jesus spoke. And it has the most exquisite, and they did a painstaking and a very good job of translating it to try to maintain the original sense of what was being said. So let me begin. I will read the first, the things that I talked about in the last 2 videos, and then the third beatitude we will talk about today. So here we go. Matthew chapter 5. When Jesus saw the crowds, he ascended the mount, and when he was seated, his disciples drew near to him. He began speaking and teaching them, and he said, "A heavenly attitude is theirs, those whose home is in Ruka." In the previous videos, I said that the translators didn't want to translate the Aramaic term Ruka because they couldn't find just the right word for it. So it's something like spirit or force. Okay? Spirit or force. Like a wind. But in this case, of course, it's a holy force, Holy Spirit from God. Okay? Blessed are those who are in Ruka. Or actually, it says, a heavenly attitude is theirs whose home is in Ruka. Whose home. See, we're both matter and spirit and matter. We're a soul and a body, and our body is like a temporary place to be, a tent. I think even Paul said. Okay, so you're a soul and a body. Your body is useful to get you from point A to point B. Your body is useful to hear and to see, to do things and to speak, okay, and to think with your animal brain, okay. But ultimately, you are your soul, okay. You're not your body; you are your soul. And when your soul has found a home in Ruka, in God's Spirit, then that's a very good place to be, and that's where we should be. Christ said to be in the world but not of the world. See, if your home is in Spirit, you're in the world, but you're not of the world. You're of the Spirit. And you receive your enlightenment, your approval, your reinforcement, your love. You receive all of those from the Spirit, from God, who sustains your soul. And then through your soul, okay, there's an outflow of good in what you say and what you do, and an outflow of good into the body. When we meditate, we become aware of our hands, okay, so that our hands become a little bit tingly, a little bit warm. And you can actually feel the warmth from God, the tingly warmth from God enter your body. Okay. So let's continue. So that's good for your body. Okay. Now let's continue. The next one is a heavenly attitude is theirs. Those mourning their wrongs, they shall be comforted. A heavenly attitude is theirs, those with humility. They will gain the earth. Okay? Those with humility. A heavenly attitude is theirs, those with humility. Humility is a very rare thing. Mostly people are hardened. There are a lot of things that support pride. Okay? We all know about anger. Anger supports pride. Judgment, when you judge another. One of these days I should make a video about discerning. See, it's okay to discern. It's okay to see someone's making an error, for example, but without judging them, without a pinch of resentment, see? Without using it to puff up your own pride by comparison, or to feel superior to them, see? So anger, judgment, resentment support pride. But so does study. I'm not saying that we can't learn things. Of course, it's fun to discover things. But there's something about studying, about stuffing yourself with facts, figures, and formulas, so that you can use those to impress other people and to change things and to prove something and to look good in front of others and to be superior to them. There's something about that feeds pride. Now, the other thing about pride is that it seems to wax strong when we are unaware. So, for example, objects, the culture, all of culture is hypnotic. The things that what you eat, and your clothes, and what you watch on TV, and sports, and shopping, and your iPhone, all these things, see, support a way of life that came into being when humans fell from civilization. See, I'm not knocking iPhones, and I'm not knocking television, because you could go to the lowest, the most backward third world country in the world, where people are sitting around on the ground and don't even know how to wash their hands before they eat, and living in a cardboard shack or something like that. You could go there, and their culture, whatever they do, their little rituals and their words and their shack and their whatever they do, it supports a way of life that came into existence when the human race fell from what civilization is all about. See, we're a fallen race. Adam originally, you remember, was in paradise. He had it all, basically, and he could have even had more. And he was close to God, and he could have lived a life of adventure, of discovery, discovering God's great universe, an endless journey of discovery, to marvel and to wonder. It'd be like being on vacation all the time. Okay? It'd be like being on vacation all the time. And that's the way it could have been for him. But he blew it. How did he blow it? He had there was a part of him that wasn't totally committed to God. See, and the serpent found that out. See, if the serpent hadn't been there to tempt him through Eve, then Adam's weakness never would have been found out. He would have had this secret flaw, which would have been bad in the long run anyway. But it was found out by the serpent, who tempted Adam through Eve. And the flaw was Adam didn't have perfect love for God. He wasn't totally committed to God. See? And he didn't have a perfect love for Eve either. Okay? Instead, he was a little bit selfish, and he was tempted to want to try it on his own without God. See? Tempted to try it on his own. And so he did. He doubted what God had told him. Instead, he he ate the apple which was forbidden, and you know the rest of the story. He lost paradise. He lost everything. And then he began to change. He fell to a lower environment. See? And so today, we, the progeny, the great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandsons and granddaughters of Adam, were born into this fallen environment. So when you look around you at culture, the culture, or any culture, some cultures are better than others. See, America had a noble culture, but relatively noble. But we're falling, as you can see. America has lost its way. We're falling toward the third world. So you look at the third world. That's where. See, you end up when you fall. But we are born into a world of culture where people take pride in this, and pride in their food, and pride in their rituals, and pride in their music, and pride in their everything. People take pride in drinking and spending too much and eating too much, and everything they take pride in. This is like a compensation for what they lost. See, what they lost was a right relationship with God, and paradise, and eternal life. See what a loser Adam was? That's what he left for us. But provision has been made. Provision has been made for us to be restored. Okay? But not for everyone. Some people won't let go of pride and what supports pride. And some people, they want something from the world. See? What happens is when we're kids, we're teased, we're challenged, and we fall. See? And when we fall, we lose something. We lose being closer to God. See, when we're little children, you're not as close to God as Adam was, but you are close to God when you're a little child. You have your innocence, and you have clear seeing, and you are capable of becoming what the good Lord intended. But when you fall, resenting others, being angry at others, they took something from you, so then you want to get it back, or even steal from someone else when your thing was stolen, that sort of thing. And you see others acting like they're better than you, and so you hate them. See, these are all falls. And so when you fall, you lose. See, even as Adam did, your fall is not as great as his, but nevertheless, it's a fall. So you get to experience a little bit of what Adam experienced. One moment you were innocent and carefree and happy-go-lucky. Then there was some trauma. You did something that was forbidden, or you took drugs, or you hated your parents, or you were taken in by the gang or the group, the peer group, and you turn your back on the sweet things that you had once loved. See? And then you change. You're not the same anymore. It's a fall. Okay? It's a fall. So fortunately, God has made provision for us to be returned to a state such as Adam had, and even better. Even better than that, God has made provision. But like I said, you have to be willing to give. Christ said you have to deny yourself and take up your cross, he said. Follow me. Okay? So what it means is that you have to be willing to begin to let go of these props that support your ego, that support your wobbly pride. See? And one of course, such prop is anger, emotions, resentment. See? And things that you use to build yourself up or knock other people down. You have to begin to wean yourself from those. Or another way to put it is to stand back and look at them. Stand back and look at everything. Look at your marijuana. Look at your marijuana. If you really could stand back and look at it, or your cigarette, for example, or the piece of chocolate, or the piece of pie, or something, or buying the extra thing, or whatever it is, if you could really stand back, take a mental step back and look at it objectively, then you would see it's really not that great. And you would be able to if you're truly objective, then you'd be able to quietly just let it go, see, without struggle. You just wouldn't need it anymore. See, if you're living if you find a home in spirit, see, if you find and you have this heavenly attitude, you're close to God, and you find a home in God's Spirit, then what do you need? What do you need? You certainly don't need cigarettes or marijuana, or you don't need the extra piece of pie. I'm not saying you can't eat a piece of pie, but I'm just saying you won't need it. See? Because you're fulfilled from within. Okay? So, now the other thing that sustains pride, remember the Beatitude said, Christ said, a heavenly attitude is theirs, those who have humility. Okay? So, when you can begin to let go of some of those things, then you're letting go of things that support pride, cultural pride, all kinds of pride. Okay? You're letting them go. You stand back and you see them for what they are, these trinkets and nothing that special. See? So you have a different relationship with them, a right relationship with God, and a home in Ruka then permits you to have a right relationship with other things. See? You won't need them anymore. You won't use them anymore. It doesn't mean you can't still eat and drink something and have recreation or watch television. It doesn't mean that. But it just means you'll be in the spirit. You'll be in the world, but not of the world. Here's an example I always give. I've noticed that in this series now, I'm going back to some of the old examples that I've given so many times, but I think it's useful because, like I said, there are always new viewers and new listeners. So there's two ways to watch a movie. You go into a movie theater and you're sitting in the movie theater. There's two ways to watch it. First of all, the wrong way, which is what most people do. You get lost in the movie. Okay? You get so lost in the movie that you become oblivious to everything around you. You don't notice what's going on around you. You're just lost in the movie. Maybe identifying with the character, feeling emotions. You're totally absorbed in the movie. Okay? But that's not good because someone could come and take your purse or pickpocket you, you see? You're oblivious. You're not in reality. And you're not close to God. Okay? Now there's another way of watching the movie, which is the right way. And the right way of watching the movie is to, as you're watching the movie, to also be aware of yourself sitting there watching the movie. So you're sitting there and you're watching the movie, but you also are aware of the fact there's someone next to you and there's someone eating popcorn and there's a person that's coming and sitting down. See, you're in the moment, and you feel yourself in the chair. You're aware of your hands, your feet. See, the chair you're sitting in. So now you've kind of distanced yourself. It's a little distance between you and the movie. You can still watch the movie, but not being lost in it. See? So that's being in the world, but not of the world. See, when you separate from being lost in things, then also, see, you're closer to God. Now, humility. Oh, what else sustains pride, which is the opposite of humility? Not wanting to admit you're wrong. See, we inherit a little something of that from Adam, or from your parents, maybe your mom. She never wants to admit she's wrong. She always wants to be right and never wrong. Okay, well, you got some of that. Maybe your dad is that way too. Most people are, they don't want to admit they're wrong. And so So you defend yourself, but the problem is that you defend yourself against the truth, against God's light of truth. You keep yourself from the heavenly state. See, you literally bar yourself from the heavenly state by defending yourself, your errors, against the light. See? And you don't even realize what you're doing, but you're actually blocking the light. Okay? So, for example, let's say you go out in the world and you get angry. Somebody cuts in front of you, or your child does something, or your neighbor says something, or something happens and it makes you angry. Okay, so there you are, you're angry. Okay, well, that's failing. Okay, so there you are, you blew it, you got angry. You could have been patient. You could have been calm. But instead you failed. You became angry. Okay, so now you see, so now what you need to do is just stand there and observe your anger. See? Observe your anger and see that it's wrong. And be a bit embarrassed about it. See? A little bit ashamed of being angry. See that you blew it again. Okay? But don't resent yourself. Don't resent the other person. Don't resent the circumstances. Don't resent anything. Just see that you blew it. Okay? But what do most of us do? We're angry and then we get angry at our anger. Or we're angry and then we blame the other person to try to make ourselves innocent. Or we're angry and we try to shove it all under the carpet and pretend nothing happened. See, some people are good at pretending nothing happened. They do something wrong and then they pretend nothing happened. See, they call that unfinished business. But you got the idea. You go out in the world and then you become impatient with your child. Okay, you blew it. You became impatient. Stand back and observe that impatience. Don't resent it. Don't resent seeing it. See, that's the most important thing. Don't resent the light. Don't resent seeing. Don't resent the light rubbing your nose in your error. You have to see your error. You have to see it. See? And then stand back from it and have the objective and watch it in the light, and the light will change you. You can't change yourself. Okay? You can't change yourself. Now the other thing is that when you, if you should start to meditate, and if you should start to have some realizations about yourself, you see your own angers and resentments and phoniness and so on, and you see that before you always blamed everybody else and you're always angry at everybody, and now you see that you yourself, see, and when you see that, if it makes you sad, if you regret the way you are, that's humbling. It's very humbling to see the truth about your own rottenness. Okay? But then you also will become aware that you're seeing it in God's light. See, God rarely talks to us with words. Mostly He sends His light which shines upon things, and in the light you can see it for what it is. So you see, first you see your own wrong, and then you regret what you see about yourself, and it's humbling. But you're being humbled in God's light. So you'll go through a series of revelations like that and realizations. Okay, sometimes painful. Okay, you see one thing at a time, and you feel the remorse for it and the regret, and then the regret becomes you feel pain over it. Just don't resent it. Okay, you feel pain, and then the pain becomes sadness, and then the sadness becomes gladness. It's like a sad glad. You're sad to see you're wrong, but you're glad to come clean. Okay, you're glad to see it. It's a good hurt. It's like going to the dentist and having your tooth pulled. It hurts, but when he's done, then you're going to be better. Okay? But then, you will also then begin to see some shining truths. God will begin to share with you little things about how He relates to people, to nature, to science. You begin to realize things, discover things, okay, which would be just marvelous. Okay? It's just wonderful to discover those things. And those discoveries are humbling because you are awed by what you see. See, you're awed. And you stand with awe and wonder at God's greatness and at His love. and at his creativity, and all the things that you're beginning to discover about him which you never saw before because you were all wrapped up in yourself and lost in thinking. Okay? Well, I hope you enjoyed this little video on one of the Beatitudes, and next time we'll, Lord willing, we'll look at another Beatitude from the Sermon on the Mount.